Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start this lesson off by giving all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakudash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to our brothers who are fervently preaching the word in sincerity and in faith. Shalom to the sincere Akwath. And Shalom to the scattered Israelites who are amongst these heathen nations and look like these heathens. Now this lesson is going to be an Iran war update. So through the Spirit, I'm going to read this article, get some precepts, and Lord's will, you're edified. Alright, it says Trump urges Tehran to give up. Israel kills 14 in Lebanon. It says U.S. President Donald Trump says Washington's blockade of Iranian ports has been a success and urges Tehran to just give up. At least 14 people have been killed in Israeli airstrikes across southern Lebanon today, the national news agency is reporting. Iran's parliament speaker Mohammed Bagher Ghalibaf dismisses U.S.'s economic pressure campaign as the Iranian military warns its restraint so far has been intended to give diplomacy a chance. So the standoff in the Strait of Hormuz has pushed global oil prices above $120 per barrel, with average petrol prices in the U.S. hitting a 4-year high. Yeah, so the longer, this conflict, this war goes on, the more strain there is on the global economy. Trump is sitting here being all boastful, talking about, oh yeah, the Washington's blockade of Iranian ports has been a success, and he's urging Tehran to just give up. Meanwhile, the Iranians are saying that, their restraint so far has been because they're trying to give diplomacy a chance. But eventually, things are going to get active again, and there will be shots fired back and forth once again. But there is going to come a point where things are going to get so strenuous on the global economy that other nations are going to have to get involved. Because, the U.S. is not backing down. Trump, he's not going to back down. He has way too much pride to do that. And the Iranians, they're not going to back down because they're not the ones who started this. They're merely defending themselves, and they have every right to do so. So this is going to keep going. And things are just going to continue to get worse all across the world as a result. This standoff that's currently happening, in particular with the Strait of Hormuz, that can only last but so much longer before, things escalate once again. Proverbs 21:1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord Yahweh. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. And that's right, because most people think that, all Trump has to do is just call everything off. Call off the blockade, pull all the U.S. troops back. And then once the U.S. does that, and stops applying so much pressure to Tehran, then, the Strait of Hormuz can be reopened, tensions can calm down, and, everything can start flowing like it's supposed to. But instead of doing that, the Lord has the spirit on Trump to just keep applying more and more pressure. And then in return, Tehran is applying their own pressure. And because they're at this stalemate, they're in this standoff, no progress is being made. And the global economy is just suffering more and more. And everybody knows exactly who to blame. Everybody's looking at the US and looking at Washington and looking at Trump and his wicked, unhinged administration. Because as we all know, the US and Israel were the ones who attacked Iran. And that's why this whole thing started in the first place. So the whole world is looking at the US and Israel to fix this mess that they made. But the Lord does not want them to fix it. The Lord wants them to keep making it worse, which will then drag the rest of the, major world powers into this conflict, turning it into a full-fledged world war. Habakkuk 2 and 3. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. And that's right. That vision of World War III, those nukes flying and America being wiped off the face of the earth, it's coming. It may be tarrying right now. It may have slowed down, but at the end of the day, it's going to happen. That's why the scriptures say, though it tarry, wait for it. We have to be patient because it will surely come. It will not tarry. You see, the Lord, once he says something is going to happen, he's going to make it happen. He is bound by his word. Like that old saying, a man of his word. That's the Lord. He's a man of his word. If he says he's going to, do something, then it's going to happen. It may not happen right then and there. Like it says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time. So there is a time set for World War III to go full blown and to turn nuclear. It's just not yet. There's still some other prophecies that have to come to pass before that happens. You see, the nukes flying, that's basically the cherry on top of the cake. That's the end right there. That's the grand finale. But we're not there yet. And that's why things haven't escalated to that point. But I have to make something very clear. There is no going backwards. There is no, peace talks, peace negotiations, everything calms down and goes back to the way it used to be. No. Like, we're already here. We've already, past the point of no return in the sense of, not being in the midst of World War III. Like, we're already in it. The Lord is just going to use this war to apply more pressure on these other nations until they get involved and it can turn into a full-on world war. So we're at that point. There is no going back. Things are only going to get worse from here. There will be no peace on earth until the US is wiped off the face of the earth and Israel gets decimated and cleansed of all those heathens that are in our land, that are in the Lord's favorite place, his favorite land on the earth. Once that happens and the kingdom of heaven can be established, then there will be peace on earth. But up until that point, it's going to be many great miseries and chaos and suffering, in particular for these wicked people with whom the Lord is angry with every day. And like it says in Ecclesiastes 3:1, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. And then you jump down to verse 8 and it says a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. And we're clearly in a time of war. We're in a time for civil war. We're in a time for race war. And we're definitely in a time for world war. The third world war. The war to end all wars, because it's going to be a nuclear war. It'll be the third and final war. Because at the end of this, the wicked will be brought down. The righteous will be, put up and established in their rightful place. And there will be no wars. The Israelites will be ruling. All of these heathens will be in slavery under us. Yahweh Shai will be ruling. The kingdom of heaven will be established. And that's when there will be peace on earth. So there will be no reasons for war. And we're very close to that happening. But there is that old saying, if you want peace, you have to prepare for war. And we are in it, Not fully yet, but we are in that. We are in war. And it's just going to wax worse and worse until the Lord puts the spirit on all these nations to push that button. And then all hell literally will break loose. That nuclear fire. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up here. Closing, I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakudash. The water Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, for putting the spirit on me to do this lesson. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors toward our brothers who are still fervently preaching the word in sincerity and in faith. Shalom to the sincere Akwath, which are the sincere sisters. And shalom to the scattered Israelites who are amongst these heathen nations and look like these heathens. I hope you all stay strong, stay safe, stay fervent, stay circumspect, stay prayed up, and Adawan Ratazah, which means Lord's will. Until next time, Shalom.